It happened on a Friday night. I came home a little early from a late shift at the hospital. My patient got discharged ahead of schedule, and for once, traffic didn't try to murder my sanity. All I wanted was a quiet night and some sleep. Instead, I got front row seats to my own humiliation. The front door was cracked, something she always did when her friends were over. I figured they were still going strong from their weekly wine and wine sessions. I walked up to the house and paused. Laughter spilled out, sharp and unfiltered. Then I heard her voice. "Oh my God," she slurred. "He's too stupid to even notice. I've been cheating on him for years." The room erupted with laughter, wild, drunken, howling. Another voice chimed in. I think it was her friend Trina. "With who? That personal trainer guy?" More laughter. "No," my wife said, dragging the words out. "With multiple guys. God, I had one of them in our bed last summer while dumbass was working a double." The laughter turned into shrieks. I didn't move, didn't breathe, just stood outside in the dark like a stranger on the wrong doorstep. Then she added, "I keep thinking he's going to catch on, but he's like, oblivious. He's like a golden retriever. Dumb, loyal, and always wagging his tail." Something in me snapped right then, but not loud, not explosive, just quietly, like a wire pulled too tight that finally went ping. I didn't storm in, didn't say a word. I turned around, got in my car, and drove. At first, I didn't feel anything, just numb, like my whole body had disconnected and left behind a placeholder. I drove for 3 hours, just driving, windows down, radio off, trying to convince myself I'd misheard, or misunderstood, or maybe they were just drunk and joking. But I knew her voice. I knew the tone she used when she thought she was safe. She meant it, every syllable, and worst of all, she was right about me. I had been loyal. I had been trusting. I had bent over backward to make her life easier. I worked 14-hour shifts to support her dream of opening a boutique bakery, a dream I never even shared. I did the taxes, fixed the sink, walked the dog, sent flowers on Tuesdays just because. I never once thought she'd be unfaithful. That night, I slept in my car. Not because I had nowhere else to go, but because I couldn't imagine sleeping in the same bed she'd shared with someone else. The next morning, I went back, calm, robotic. She was already gone for a yoga class. I went straight to my home office. Opened a folder I'd created 3 years ago during a stupid fight over finances, labeled just in case. Inside was everything I needed. Copies of the house deed, bank accounts, my premarital savings account statements, passwords she didn't know I'd changed. I opened a new doc and typed 2 words. Get out. Then I made a plan. We met in college. She wore red lipstick to biology class and called it branding. She said things like, "I want to be legendary," and I thought it was charming, not narcissistic. I fell for her hard, fast. The kind of love that makes you skip warning signs because you're too busy playing house with a hurricane. Back then, she said I made her feel safe. She liked how steady I was, how I didn't try to outshine her. Said I grounded her. I thought that was a compliment. Now I realize what she meant was, you don't threaten me. And later, you don't challenge me. And eventually, you won't see it coming. And I hadn't. Not for years. After that night, the one where I stood outside the door listening to my wife call me stupid between gulps of wine and cruelty, I didn't confront her. I didn't rage or cry or even leave a note. I walked back to my car like a man who just watched his whole house burn down and was already sketching plans for a better one. The next morning, I made French toast. Just like always. She wandered into the kitchen in her robe, yawned, kissed my cheek, and said, "You're too good to me." I smiled. "Just love you," I said. And I meant it in the past tense. That night, I bought 2 voice-activated recorders. Amazon. Overnight shipping. I slipped one into the living room near the baseboard heater, the other under the nightstand. I tested the audio. Crisp. Clean. Like a confession booth wired for court. She went out again that weekend, said it was a girls' night at Marlowe's. At 10:14 p.m., the recorder caught her saying, "I told you he still doesn't know. He made me dinner before I left. I swear, I could come home wearing someone else's cologne and he'd probably apologize for not noticing." The voice that replied was male. Deep. Confident. "You're a savage, Jess." She laughed. "I prefer efficient." That night, I sat at my desk, labeled the audio file, her words, and backed it up twice, cloud and encrypted USB. By Monday, I'd contacted a lawyer. Camille, a quiet professional with eyes like she'd seen it all and never once lost her cool. I told her everything. She didn't flinch. Let's get to work, she said. Don't tip your hand until we've built the entire case. Over the next week, I built a digital folder that would make the NSA proud. Screenshots of her late-night texts, transaction logs for hotel stays, a tagged Instagram story from a friend of a friend showing her a little too cozy with her trainer. Meanwhile, I acted like nothing changed. Still cooked, still cleaned, still smiled. She started treating me with casual contempt again, called me predictable, rolled her eyes when I offered to walk her to her car. One night, she said I should find a hobby. I said I was working on something special. She didn't ask what. That was fine. When the trap snaps shut, I want her confused. I want her to wonder when everything shifted. I want her to realize she mistook silence for stupidity. And I want her to feel, for the first time, just how dangerous quiet can be. Cheaters always get sloppy when they think they've already won. That week, she got reckless. Left her phone on the kitchen counter, screen lit with a text that said, "Can't wait to taste you again." She didn't bother deleting the thread. Didn't bother lying about the lipstick on her collar. When I asked how Pilates went, she smirked and said, "Sweaty. Really worked me hard." Then she winked. I smiled. Even laughed. Told her I was glad she was taking care of herself. She had no idea I was recording everything. Camille helped me set up the next steps. Freeze on the joint credit card. Separate health insurance. Cease direct deposits. All subtle at first. She wouldn't notice right away. That was the point. We were preparing to serve her without warning. A legal ambush backed by every document, every login, every screenshot. By Friday, I had a 37-page dossier in a locked folder labeled Exit. That night, she went out again. Third time in 5 days. She wore heels I hadn't seen before and perfume that made me nauseous. Before she left, she said, "Don't wait up." I said, "Wouldn't dream of it." She thought I was being chill. I was being done. I called Camille that night and said 4 words. "I'm ready. Do it." She said the paperwork would be filed Monday. Until then, play it cool. But playing cool was harder than I expected. On Saturday, she came home late. Reeked of vodka and someone else's cologne. She dropped her heels in the hallway like she was marking territory. Sat down next to me on the couch and started scrolling through her phone like I didn't exist. "Fun night?" I asked. "Girls' night," she mumbled. "Trina and Steph. You know how it is." "Sure," I said. Even her lies were lazy now. She didn't notice the way I was studying her. Didn't notice that I was watching her face. Not with jealousy, but with detachment. Like someone observing a stranger on a train, wondering how she got so far off track without realizing she'd been on the wrong rails for years. Later that night, I stared at the ceiling fan spinning above our bed. She was passed out beside me, snoring softly. I thought about all the times I'd defended her. To my friends. To my family. To myself. She's just stressed. She loves me in her own way. She's going through a phase. No, she went through me. She used me like a springboard. And now that she thought she'd landed somewhere better, she laughed behind my back with her wine-drunk friends. All while eating the food I paid for, sleeping in the bed I made, wearing the life I built. And still, I said nothing. Because Monday was coming. And with it, the first domino. Monday came with the clarity of a winter morning. Cold. Clean. No place for denial. At 8:47 a.m., Camille texted. Filing complete. Servers heading to the cafe. At 9:06 a.m., my wife posted an Instagram story from a trendy downtown spot. Mimosa in one hand, fork hovering over avocado toast. Captioned, hashtag self-care, hashtag queen behavior nail polish. The irony could have knocked me over. At 9:17, she got served. According to Camille, the process server walked right up to her table and asked, "Jessica Martin?" When she said yes, smiling politely, he handed her the envelope and turned on his heel. No drama. No delay. Just impact. She sat frozen for a full minute before grabbing her purse and sprinting out. Brunch forgotten. Friends left behind mid-laugh. One of them recorded it. Sent it to her trainer. I saw the whole thing reposted 5 minutes later on a private account labeled, "When Karma Wears Heels." At 9:42 a.m., the front door flew open. I was at the kitchen counter, stirring honey into my tea. She came in like a storm. Face flushed, hand clenched around the still-sealed envelope. "You divorced me?" she shrieked. I didn't flinch. "It's called filing. It'll be official soon." You blindsided me?" "No," I said calmly. "You blindsided yourself." I just stepped out of the way. She gaped at me like she didn't recognize who she was speaking to. I don't understand. Why, how, when did you? Friday night, I interrupted. You and your friends. Laughing about how stupid I am. Remember that? Her jaw snapped shut. I walked to my office and came back with a folder. Dropped it gently on the table in front of her. Inside, printouts of texts, photos from her fake yoga nights, screenshots from a private investigator I'd hired 2 weeks ago to close the loop, and a USB with the audio file titled Friday_laughing about me.mp3. She didn't open the folder. Didn't touch the USB. Didn't need to. Look, she said, softer now. I didn't mean for it to go that far. It was just attention. It didn't mean. I cut her off. It meant enough that you brought him into our home. Into our bed. It meant enough to laugh about me like I was a joke. Tears welled up in her eyes. I messed up. I did. But can we just talk about this before lawyers get involved? I didn't think you'd actually. You didn't think I'd ever do anything, I said. That's the problem. You never saw me as a man with limits. Just a safety net. She reached across the table like she was going to grab my hand. I stepped back. I'm not your backup plan, I said. And I'm not your fool. Silence filled the room. For the first time since we'd met, she looked small. Not glamorous. Not magnetic. Just ordinary. I still love you, she whispered. I nodded slowly. I don't. Not anymore. By Tuesday morning, she was unraveling publicly. Her Instagram was wiped. No more selfies with cocktail captions. No more brunch. No more gym photos with suspiciously cropped trainers. Just a new bio. Learning. Healing. Hoping. Then came the throwbacks. Photos of us from better years. A picnic blanket in fall. A blurry kiss by a bonfire. Each one with a caption that felt like a trap. Mistakes don't erase love. Hoping for a miracle. Her comments were flooded with sympathy. People who didn't know the truth, who only saw a sad girl trying to fix her marriage. I didn't reply. Didn't explain. Let her play the part. Let the world clap for a performance they didn't realize was closing. The texts got longer. I was stupid, but I miss you. Please don't let this end us. You're my best friend. The words, I love you, started appearing again. Always attached to a plea. Never once an apology that wasn't followed by a request. Camille warned me not to respond. You're too close to the finish line. Don't step back into the chaos. She was right. And I was tired of chaos being rebranded as passion. By Thursday, I was mostly moved out. The new place felt bare, but honest. One mattress, a table, a laptop, and a coffee machine. No lies, no half-truths tucked under throw pillows. It felt good to breathe without someone editing the air. At 8:16 p.m., someone buzzed the door. I knew it was her by the pause, the hesitation, the kind of knock that said, I'm hoping you're too kind to turn me away. I opened the door. She stood there, hair tied back, hoodie sleeves covering her hands, mascara smudged just enough to look sincere. Can I talk to you? Her voice was raw. I stepped aside. 5 minutes. She stepped in like she didn't recognize the silence. Like she expected yelling. Accusations. Not peace. She sat on the edge of my couch, fiddling with her sleeves. I messed everything up, she said. I know that. I can't undo what I did, but I can change. I already started therapy. I've blocked everyone. I deleted the dating apps, even the private ones. I need you to know I'm trying. I let her speak. I miss you, she whispered. I know I treated you like background noise, but you were my favorite sound. That one almost got me. Almost. You want forgiveness, I said quietly. But what you really want is access. That's different. She blinked, confused. I just want another chance. You had years, I said, and you spent them teaching me to ignore my own loneliness. Tears welled up. You really mean to go through with this? I already have. I walked to the closet, pulled out an envelope, and handed it to her. She looked inside. A check. Her half of the house sale. Already processed. Already notarized. Already done. I don't owe you this, I said, but I'm giving it anyway. Because I want this to end without pettiness. Just truth. She looked at me like I'd slapped her. Why? Because unlike you, I said, I don't confuse love with leverage. She stood slowly, eyes still shiny with disbelief. So this is goodbye? No, I said. This is closure. And I held the door open. She walked out without another word. I closed it behind her, then sat by the window, tea in hand, and listened to the quiet. It didn't hurt this time. It felt like peace. You don't notice how loud someone's absence is until the silence starts feeling like music. It's been 3 weeks since I saw her. No texts, no emails. Camille confirmed her lawyer signed the final paperwork. The check cleared. The house is listed and already getting offers. I've never felt lighter. It's not revenge. Not really. There's no scoreboard. No gotcha moment where I cackle in the mirror like some villain with a monologue. There's just space now, and it's mine. I started sleeping again. Real sleep. The kind where you wake up without a knot in your chest and don't check your phone with dread. I started reading again, too, something I hadn't done in years. Not for work, not to fix anything. Just to enjoy words again. I even went back to the diner where we had our first date. Sat in the same booth. Ordered the same fries. But this time, I wasn't waiting for someone to show up late and laugh at my boring stories. This time, I brought a book and finished it cover to cover while sipping coffee in peace. People keep asking if I'm angry. Truth is, I was for a long time. Not just at her. At myself. For ignoring the signs. For romanticizing crumbs and calling it love. For being so desperate to be chosen that I never asked if I was valued. But now, I'm not angry. I'm awake. That's more powerful than anything she ever took from me. She sent one final message a few days ago. A simple text. No apology. Just 4 words. Do you hate me? I didn't reply. Not because I hate her, but because the version of me who needed to answer that question doesn't live here anymore. He left the night she laughed with her friends and called him stupid. The man who lives here now? He knows the cost of silence and the power of it, too. He doesn't beg to be seen. He knows what he's worth, and he's never giving that away again.